All right, today we're talking about the dominant seventh chord. That is the notes sol, ti, re, and fa. Talking about it in a harmonic context. So we're going to look at four very closely related chords. Closely related because they all have those notes sol, ti, re, fa in them. Again, I recommend you think of them as four different chords because there are four different bass notes and they behave in a somewhat different fashion from each other. Let's go to the whiteboard and talk about these chords today. These are our basic stepwise dissonances you may recognize as. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is, our dominant seventh chord. And that is, we know that we often like the note sol to do. We've learned that those both take the chords of the fifth, 5-3, 5-3, just like that. And we learned about our different zans that we put on top of this in a voice leading context. So we could have the cantizans, Tito. We could have the boring alcizans, sol, sol. We could have the inner voice tenorizans, maybe, re, mi. Like that. Or, I could go not re, mi, but I could go re, do. Well, there is, of course, one other zans that we can throw into the mix, and that is the fa, mi. The interesting altizans, if you will. And when we do that, sol to fa is a seventh. And so what we've done is we've destabilized this 5-3 chord on the sol. And we've turned it into a sol 7-5-3. And 7-5-3 chords, let's look at how they behave. So this is turning a stable consonance into a dissonance by putting the 7 on top of that. As such, it tends to do things. First of all, the bass goes down by fifth, sol to do. Or if I had a re 7-5-3, it would go down by fifth to sol. We're going to talk about the re 7-5-3 next week. It's possible for it to step up, do a deceptive resolution. The sol 7-5-3 could resolve to a la 5-3. That's a deceptive cadence. All these top voices would say exactly the same. And obviously you wouldn't use the sol in a deceptive cadence because that wouldn't line up with the la 5-3 here. I do this and it goes deceptive. And so what we've got here is now we've got the possibility. Before we only had the sol 5-3 chord. Now we have the possibility of a sol 7-5-3 chord. What's the difference? The difference is listen into the upper voices. It could be the soprano. It could be an inner voice. It's often an inner voice. Do you hear that line, fa, mi? If you hear the fa, mi altizans, then what you heard was the sol 7-5-3. If you don't hear it, it's the sol 7-5. It's the sol 5-3. No 7-5-3 on it. And of course, the Roman numerals for those are 5 versus 5. We just take the 7-5-3 over 7, the 5 and the 5-7. So to recap, 5-7 chord, sol in the bass. If you hear the fa, mi, then you heard the dominant seventh chord, the sol 7-5-3. If you didn't hear that fa, mi, you only heard the other zans, then you've got the normal 5 chord there, the sol 5-3. One other thing, half cadences are much more likely to stop on a sol 5-3. It's kind of weird to stop on a sol 7-5-3. Why? Because cadences like to stop on stable points, and the 5-3 chord is this chord of stability. 7-5-3 chords, that's a chord of dissonance. If we stop there, we're going to stop on a dissonance. It's going to sound very unstable. Not likely, not anywhere near as likely to have a half cadence end on the sol 7-5-3. Our half cadences tend to end on the sol 5-3. So a couple of different keys for telling the difference between those two chords. I'm just going to do a short video for each of the different variations of the sol, ti, re, fa, our dominant seventh chord. And so we'll do a couple of other videos with the other, what Rameau would refer to as inversions of them. But that way, we're not overwhelming you with one long video. We'll cut it into smaller videos today.